Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another day here in the MC Magic Minecraft recreation of not only Walt Disney World, but Universal, Disneyland, and other resorts around the world. They have Knott's Berry's Farm, they have a couple of different ones. I think they might even have like Dollywood or one of those other theme parks, but check it out. I'll give a link down below on this server how you could get on it in Minecraft. But today we are going to be talking about an attraction that I don't think anybody, unless you've literally lived under a rock, would know. It's a small world. It's a Small World is Disney. And if there's any other way to put it, I would put it that way, but it is impossible. This attraction is everything culminated in Disney. And listen, in 2026, I think this attraction is it is almost so kitschy and outdated that I think a lot of people, the biggest pessimist will see it as a negative, and even the biggest pessimist can't ignore just how charming and innocent this attraction is. And I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it because in my own personal life in the world, I work in New York City and I see how the world is today. And in my opinion, I think in every major city, this attraction should be present. I think this attraction is so important for what the world is and what the world is about. Now, I'm not going to go on a philosophical lesson for you guys today. We are going to talk about this attraction, but I think this attraction, maybe more than any other attraction in all of the Disney parks, especially in today's climate, is just so important. And especially for the next generation coming up, I think this attraction is, as much as I would love to see a Tangled ride in this boat attraction and something updated, I think for humanity itself, this attraction is the most important out of anything. So let's talk about the history of It's a Small World. Now, the origins of this ride are going to take us not to even to Disneyland. It's going to take us to the World's Fair. So the 1964-1965 New York's World's Fair as a sponsored pavilion for Pepsi and UNICEF. And the message of the ride was pretty clear and simple. Children from around the world live differently, but share the same hopes, joy, and humanity. And I'm like actually getting a little teary-eyed just talking about this. This attraction is so just insane with just what it's about. And we're going to join Red here, riding the attraction. So Walt Disney personally oversaw this project, and he challenged his Imagineers to build the attraction in less than 12 months. An extremely ambitious timeline for such an attraction. And after the World's Fair ended, the attraction was moved to Disneyland in 1966, where it became an instant classic. And I think after, and you have to remember back in the day, a lot of the attractions that Walt Disney had built, we started to see these attractions where Disney was having somebody else sponsor and build the attractions for the World's Fair. It wasn't on his own dime. And then when it was done, well, then he could bring it back to Disneyland. And that was his strategy back in the day, which is very smart, right? It was a very smart thing that he had done, and it allowed them to build attractions like It's a Small World. And the song was written by very famous Disney legendary composers Richard M. Sherman and Robert B. Sherman, the Sherman brothers. And it's kind of crazy, but if you look back at a lot of Disney movies, there's a lot of nods to the Sherman brothers. They created a lot of music when you think about Disney. I know in particular, I'm just naming off the top of my head, but I know like The Jungle Book, the Sherman brothers wrote the music for. Winnie the Pooh, those types of movies. They wrote all the music for all those different movies and in the parks. Originally, the ride was going to feature different national anthems played simultaneously, and you could only imagine in your head what that could sound like. And I could give you a hint. It didn't sound good. So the Imagineers realized it sounded chaotic. They saw what it was about, and they asked the Sherman Brothers to create one simple melody sung in many different languages. And today, it is considered one of the most played songs in the entire history of the world. So the Magic Kingdom version, the big difference between that and the Disneyland version, there's a couple, but the Florida version is mostly indoors. The front part, when we were like in the queue, all of that is outside at Disneyland. And again, because of Florida weather, hurricanes, things like that, they decided to put that all indoors. Unlike Disneyland's large outdoor facade, Magic Kingdom's is smaller and inside of Fantasyland. The loading area has a unique indoor European-style clock tower design, which is a little bit different than the one in Disneyland. And the finale room is larger and brighter than some of the other versions. Now, there's a lot of interesting details. Mary Blair's art style, and if you go to the Contemporary Resort, there's a lot of her artwork in the Contemporary. That's the five-legged goat, right? She's the one that created all that. And this attraction is heavily inspired by Mary Blair. And these dolls, they do represent real cultures. The costumes, the architecture, and the music, it's all inspired by the countries that they were created for. And, even you see some, subtle nods added, like Aladdin, Cinderella, Woody, Lilo in the Disneyland version. And another really interesting thing about the Disneyland version, they have It's a Small World holiday where they actually shut down the attraction every year for the holidays, and they have a Christmas version of It's a Small World. And they do not have that in Walt Disney World, but again, a lot of that comes back to the differences between Disneyland and Disney World, and we could go on an entire video talking about that. And this kind of leads to the next point. Beyond the Disney parks, beyond the Disney company, the attraction became a symbol of Disney optimism during the 60s and reflected the themes of international unity, hope during the Cold War, childlike innocence, people through cultural understanding in peace. And even decades later, this remains one of Disney's most recognized attractions. And obviously, I think one of my favorite jokes, I guess you could say, is in the Lion King movie. There was a scene where Zazu was locked in the cage by Scar, and he's asking him to sing. And Zazu starts singing, "It's a Small World," and Scar's like, "Nope, anything but that, please." And kind of making fun of It's a Small World. But, I mean, in reality, like I said from the beginning of this video, this attraction, the message behind it, as innocent and almost a sense of naive that it is in today's world, is so important. And to be honest with you, like, maybe I'm pessimistic, maybe I'm just a realist. I don't think we're ever going to achieve world peace, because I think evil is always going to exist. There's always going to be that in our world. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't still try. And I think that's really the message that maybe our generation is starting to lose, is not so much the idea of world peace. I think everybody is pretty safe in that assumption. I think more and more people don't believe the idea of world peace, but I think a lot more people are just cynical and, all right, well, let's just burn it down. Who cares? My idea is, yeah, you know what? There's always going to be that evil in the world, but the good people have to still be the good people to keep it going. And we will never maybe achieve world peace, but damn, we have to do everything we can to try. And I think that this attraction, if this attraction doesn't exemplify it, I don't think anything in the world will. You can also find versions of It's a Small World, like I said, Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland, Disneyland Paris, and Hong Kong Disneyland. This is an attraction that I think is a staple in the Disney parks. This is an attraction that, like I said, I don't know if we're going to ever have true world peace, but this attraction is what the world needs every single day. And I think for the children of the world growing up today, this is that sense of optimism that we need, and to keep going. And even when you have rough days, when everything comes back to, we all are here. Maybe we're not the same color. Maybe we don't wear the same clothes. Maybe we speak different languages. We eat different foods. We listen to different music. But at the end of the day, there is still humanity. We're all still human. And I think this attraction does that so beautifully. And I think the way that Disney did this attraction when they built it, I mean, this was in the World's Fair. So besides even the history of Walt and the Disney theme parks and everything other than that, just the idea of the philosophy of this attraction is what the world needs. And even not that long ago, I've made videos talking about how I would replace this attraction and put a tangled boat ride like we saw in I think it was Shanghai or Tokyo Disney Sea. And I think I'm going back on that, because I think this attraction is it's too important. I think this attraction is just too important in the world, and it's honestly probably needed more than ever right now. So let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys think I'm crazy? Do you guys agree with that? I really think this attraction is just beautiful in so many different ways, and I'm really happy that it is at Disney World, because I get to go on this attraction every time. And as much as everybody pretends that they hate it, everyone still goes on it. There's still lines. When it rains, that line fills up rather quickly. And if people don't want to go on Peter Pan, or they just got off Peter Pan, they're going right over to It's a Small World. So that is going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, it's a dark world out there. There's a lot of bad things happening, but at the end of the day, it truly is a small world after all. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a magical day.